Ladies and gentlemen, a special round of applause for our current Hall of Famers. This year, North Central College will induct 6 new members to the Athletic Hall of Fame. Will you please welcome to the stage, from the class of 1964, John Novak. From the class of 1984, Cheryl Fincher McGill. From the class of 1993, Alonso Alexander. From the class of 1998, Erik Taylor. Volleyball and track and field coach, Marcy Thurwachter. Being inducted today posthumously, athletic director and coach, Lester Belding. And now, ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome to the podium today's Master of Ceremonies, Mr. Rick Spencer, Vice President for Institutional Advancement.
Thank you, Jim. I need direction wherever I go. Appreciate that. Jumped the gun a little bit. Welcome to the annual induction ceremony for the North Central College Athletic Hall of Fame. I just love this day as I look over and see those red coats and the new inductees and all you out there. It's just a great moment for this institution. And I love to look over and see people that, as a little boy in Naperville, came and watched either swim or play football. Ones that I recruited as director of admissions in the 80s, and a number of them that I just watched when I was been the vice president for advancement here, and one that operated on me 3 times. So it's just a wonderful moment for this institution, and we're excited to have you here to celebrate the contribution of these fine athletes and individuals to the success of athletics at North Central College. We established this recognition in 2004 to honor the important role of student athletes in campus life in the history of the college. This history includes an Olympic gold medalist, participants in the Pan American Games, 30 team national championships, 117 individual national titles, and maybe most impressive, 289 Scholar All-Americans. North Central College enjoys a rich tradition of excellence both in the classroom and on the playing field, a tradition continued throughout our history. Before we introduce our inductees, I'd like to acknowledge some other special guests in the audience. I didn't see them as I was rushing in, but the football teams from 1965 to 1968 are doing a little weekend reunion here. Are any of you guys here? 65 to 6? There they are. Welcome. Great to have you here. They're here for not only a reunion, but to head up some fundraising for our weight room. So I like that. Now I'd like to ask our new president, Dr. Troy Hammond, who would like to share a few words. Troy?
Well, this is a fantastic event, and just a huge welcome to all of our Athletic Hall of Famers. It's really great to have you here. I have always been an avid sports fan. I grew up in a household where anything that involved, maybe a ball or throwing or doing anything else was just fair game. It was just part of life. My father, in particular, set a great example for me in terms of the role of athletics in life, and he himself was had a pretty stellar athletic career. And as we speak right now, he's on transit to our hometown in near Kokomo, Indiana. He'll be inducted this afternoon into the Howard County Hall of Fame for athletics. Sorry I can't be there with him. He really instilled that spirit of athletics and of competition and of the role that it plays in life in me as I was growing up. This is my first year. I started in January. I was a Cardinal the moment I got here. It didn't hurt that first week going to the alumni track and field event in January and raising 2 national championship banners to the rafters. Just unbelievable. That's just such a fantastic statement about this college. Later on in the spring, when the basketball team experienced tremendous success and punched their ticket to Salem, I was there. There was no question about whether I was going to make that road trip, and I was able to get a couple of my kids to go along with me. So it was a great thing. I take tremendous pride in what Division III athletics is and stands for. The student athlete. Our coaches are leaders in this, in taking students coming out of high school and turning them from kids into young men and women through the experience not only of their academic education, but their education in life, of which athletics contributes so substantially. Our students, our high school students, when they come and visit this campus and are interested in being part of a sport, they know they found the right place. So I'm not a prolific athlete like the men and women of North Central's Athletic Hall of Fame, but as I stand here today, I do wonder if there should be some sort of new Hall of Fame category for the parents who raise the aspiring athletes. Charlene and I, and by that I mean mostly Charlene, have gotten our 4 kids to literally hundreds of hockey, soccer, and cross-country practices, games, and tournaments just this year. So I think there should be some consideration for a category like that. Great people like you, great people like our athletes that student athletes that we're honoring today, show the world how college athletics done right, the way you did them at North Central College, help students mature into responsible, impressive citizens and leaders. While you were here, you achieved great things in your chosen sports while carrying a full academic load and without D1-style athletic scholarships. And you competed and or coached at the highest levels. By doing that, you inspired all of us to push and challenge ourselves as well, and we're grateful for that example. So today, we celebrate you, not just what you've done, but the people who you were, are, and will continue to be. John, Sheryl, Alonzo, Erik, Marcy, and Lester's family, and all the members of the Athletic Hall of Fame who have joined us this morning, thank you. Each and every one of you and your accomplishments continue to inspire us. Thank you.
Thank you, Troy. I have a little story of why I knew Troy would be a supporter of athletics, and I probably shouldn't say this, so let's keep it in this room. So during the interview process of the new presidents, myself and one of our other assistant vice presidents, Mike Hudson, had the task of giving tours to the couples, and there was a number of them that came through campus. And I had my little checklist kind of in my head of what was important in a new president, and Troy was the first one that came to campus, and Mike and I gave this tour, and we got down by the athletic stadium, and I was trying to figure out how am I going to ask how he feels about athletics. And I happened to be walking with Charlene at the time, and I kind of said, you know, what does Troy like? Does he like athletics? And she goes, oh, he's a sports nut. It drives me crazy. And I went, okay, he's the guy. Now I'd like to begin the process of honoring. We'd like to begin the process of honoring each of our new inductees, and we are so proud to do that. You will learn a little bit about each one of them before they come up to the podium and get their award in a video that we will show. So first up is John Novak, class of 1964, John was North Central's first wrestling All-American before graduating and becoming the team's head coach.
The history of the wrestling program at North Central College is inextricably tied to the efforts of John Novak. As a wrestler, a volunteer coach, the head coach, a college trustee, and a lifelong supporter. After the college had to dismantle the program following the 1938-39 season, the Cardinals wrestling program was resurrected in the fall of 1961. Novak transferred to North Central that year and was one of 14 newcomers on the team and helped lead the Cardinals to a College Conference of Illinois championship. Novak was an individual CCI champion at 147 pounds that season and went on to post a second-place finish in the NCAA Regional Championships. In 1963, he once again won the CCI 147-pound title and qualified for the National Championships. He placed fourth to become North Central's first wrestling All-American.
What makes that especially impressive is two things. First, only 4 people in the entire country was considered All-American. You had to place in the top 4 then to be All-American. The other thing that was impressive, knowing you went against everybody. You went against Division II, what is now Division II. You went against what is now NAIA. Pre-Title IX, almost every school in the country offered the sport of wrestling to some extent, so you're going against everybody except for the largest Division I.
Soon after graduation, Novak accepted an offer to be the head coach of the wrestling team, where he instilled the lessons he learned from the mat in his new role.
The sport of wrestling humbles you in a different way, and I mean it like this, and this is the way that he carries himself, is that there's no excuses, there's no one to blame. The sport of wrestling is an input-output type of sport. What you truly put in is what you can get out, and oftentimes do. You don't have to be the most talented individual to still reap the benefits and to be successful.
Novak remains involved with the wrestling program, which now boasts 25 All-Americans, 65 national qualifiers, and 6 team conference championships.
Every person that's been here has been a building block along the way.
It's my pleasure to welcome John Novak to the Athletic Hall of Fame.
Good morning. Thank you, Coach Miller, and thank your committee for the work they do on the North Central College Athletic Hall of Fame. I am very honored. I'm also honored to see so many great friends, alumni, fellow athletes, and of course, my family. By way of introduction, I'd like to introduce my wife, Marcy. Also here are 2 of our 3 children, 2 sons, their wives, and 4 of our 7 grandchildren. We also have a daughter, son-in-law in Arizona, and 3 other grandchildren. As an aside, one of our grandchildren happens to be 2 years old today. Happy birthday, Mylan. There are what I call competition's dividends. Those are the stories that evolve out of any one of us could stand up here for hours on end and talk about the wonderful stories that we were engaged in and had fun with back in our years of competition, and even still today. I would like to talk about simply one thing. The video talked about the fact that we reinstituted wrestling in 1961, which coincided the year that I transferred here to North Central as a junior. I attended a meeting in a classroom on the first floor of Murner Fieldhouse, headed by Coach Jesse Vail. Jesse Vail was the head football coach. He came in the room. He said 2 things. First of all, here's a questionnaire I want each of you to fill out. And secondly, I know almost nothing about wrestling, so you're going to have to do a lot on your own. He collected the questionnaires. And then he reported that of the 14 of us in the room, there were 9 who had high school wrestling experience. There were 4 who had no experience. And there was 1 transfer student who answered everything yes. I was sitting between 2 fellows. On my right was a fellow named Percy Horton. He was a defensive tackle for the football team. He weighed about 280 or 290 pounds and had no experience. I said, Percy, you don't need any experience. On the other side of me was a very motivating young man. I said, what weight are you? He said, I'm looking at 130. I said, you look more like 150. He said, by way of a hunting accident, when I was 13 years old, I lost my right leg above the knee. He went on to place in conference, won a letter, and was an inspiration to all of us. As the season progressed, we got more experience, more confidence, and by the time the CCI Championship Conference meet came around, we were ready, and we won 1 of 6 conference champions in the past 52 years. The bad news is we've only won 6 in 52 years, but the good news is 3 of them were in the last 6 years. I could go on and talk about some of the experiences in coaching. One of them was that I was able to coach 2 All-America, or 2 Hall of Famers, Erik Avery and Ed Jackson. Beyond that, I'd like to close by saying there's a phrase going around, and it's something about being a North Central Cardinal for life. I'd like to address that. I'm 72 years old. I wear bifocals. I have thinning gray hair. I have hearing aids, and I just had my knee replaced. I have 1 semester of eligibility left. And I'm thinking about it. Thank you. Go Cards.
What weight class is that going to be, John? That was awesome. Next up is Cheryl Fincher McGill, class of 1984, whose high jump records still stand today. Cheryl, let's listen.
A tough-as-nails competitive approach and an insatiable desire to succeed proved to be a winning combination for Cheryl Fincher McGill. She initially decided to come to North Central College to play basketball, but was quickly recruited to the women's track and field team as a high jumper. That decision to join a second team led McGill to a first for the women's track team, earning multiple All-America certificates.
She was an Amazon jumper. There's a lot of physically gifted athletes, you know. But Cheryl possessed that quality that you can't coach. And we as coaches talk about all the time, and it's not to sound trite, but you can't coach competitiveness. You can't coach that will, that drive to be the best, you know, that indomitable spirit that says, I'm going to win, I'm going to beat you.
McGill qualified for the Division III National Championships in the high jump each of her 4 years at North Central. She earned All-America honors for the first time as a sophomore in 1982, placing 3rd, then finished 5th in 1983 before closing her career with another 3rd-place showing as a senior. Her clearance of 5 feet 8 inches established the current North Central outdoor record, and she also remains the Cardinals' indoor record holder in the high jump.
It was amazing watching her jump, because it was, when she was right, you know, when her body was right and everything was good, I mean, she was flawless. I mean, she flew over the bar, great technique.
As a basketball player, McGill used her jumping prowess to become one of the program's all-time leading rebounders. Despite missing her junior season due to injury, She remains 5th in North Central history with 714 rebounds and helped lead the Cardinals to an appearance in the national semifinals as a senior.
If I was going to wrap up, if I was going to say in one word, what would describe Cheryl's competitiveness, her drive, her competitive nature, I would say fierceness.
It is my pleasure to welcome Cheryl Fincher McGill to the Athletic Hall of Fame.
Good morning. I'd like to thank North Central for this great honor. I am truly humbled and blessed to be included with such a great group of athletes. As teenagers, one of the most important decisions that we have to make, one that will affect us for the rest of our lives, is the college that we choose. I really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life when I was a teenager. My idea was to go to school out of state to a big college with one of my friends. But then I met Wayne Morgan. Wayne stopped to talk to me after one of my high school basketball games. He said he was building this great basketball team and he wanted me to play for him. Although I grew up in Schaumburg, I had never heard of North Central College, but my parents were very interested. They weren't too thrilled about having their only daughter go to school out of state, and North Central seemed like a really good option. It was close to home. It's a great liberal arts college, and I could still play basketball. And as it turned out, Wayne was right. We were a great basketball team. It was a little weird at first. He had also recruited Kim Wallner. Kim went to Schaumburg High School, and I went to Conant. So we were kind of rivals throughout high school, and it took a little getting used to being on the same team, at least for me. But not only was I fortunate enough to play with Kim, I was also fortunate enough to play with Brenda Saunders, Dawn Schaubacher, and Bonnie Hansen, all who have been inducted into the Hall of Fame in previous years. We worked hard as a team, and it showed. With Wayne and assistant coach Carl Schleich, we were a team to be reckoned with. We even gave Northern Illinois a run for their money once. But Wayne and Carl made it fun too. Wayne with his multicolored plaid jacket that he wore to every game, the shock and awe factor we displayed in the names of some of our plays, and the occasional practical joke Wayne and Carl played on us. We came together as a team and we built the foundation that is now arguably recognized as the greatest era in women's basketball at North Central. I set out my junior year for injuries and therefore missed out on being part of the national championship team. But my senior year we returned to nationals in the Final Four, even though we were missing Brenda, Dawn, and Bonnie, who had all graduated. But Wayne continued his dream of having a great basketball team and recruited more great players like Sheryl Juris and Lavenna Buckley. We placed 4th that year, and even though we couldn't repeat the success of the previous year, I am so very proud to have played with such a great group of women. Just before I started my freshman year, Phil Van Leer, the women's track coach, gave me a call. He said he heard I was going to North Central and that I had high jumped in high school. He said North Central was a small track team, only in its 2nd year, but he was pretty confident I could become an All-American. I honestly did not share Phil's confidence in my abilities to be an All-American, but I was more comfortable with my decision to attend North Central College because not only could I play basketball, I could also high jump, and those were 2 things I didn't think I would be able to do in college. Our track team was small my freshman year. We had a couple of returning runners in Renee Pash and Mary Kay Brooks. And besides me, Phil had also recruited Patty Thauer, a sprinter, and Karen Teston, who not only high jumped with me, she also did the long jump and relay teams. My freshman year, nationals were in California. Karen and I both qualified for high jump. Patty and Mary Kay also qualified. We all wore these red t-shirts that said, "I'm going to California." But unfortunately, none of us placed that year. But Coach Van Leer reached his first goal of sending several of his athletes to nationals. We did better over the next couple of years. We sent 5 athletes to nationals my sophomore year, and Karen and I were fortunate enough to place and become All-Americans. No one was more surprised than me. But for 2 years, Phil kept telling me that I had to believe it and it would happen. Just believe it. Just believe that you will be an All-American and it'll happen. He wrote "believe it" on all my training logs. I heard it at every practice and every meet. Just believe it. Well, I finally did. I couldn't have gotten there without Karen constantly challenging me and pushing me to be the very best at every practice and every meet, and without the support of my teammates. Fortunately, I obtained my second All-American honor my junior year, but I was a little skeptical going into my senior year. I had suffered a really bad ankle sprain at nationals my senior year, and I was still recovering. Phil took my recovery very seriously. He wouldn't let me jump for what seemed like a really long time. Didn't matter how much I argued with him, all I heard was, just believe it. Just believe that you will qualify, just believe you'll be an All-American, and it'll happen. Just believe it. I was really starting to worry about qualifying for nationals. I skipped meet after meet. Then with about 3 meets left in the season, Phil finally let me compete. But he was only going to let me jump until I qualified for nationals, and I was only allowed to take 4 jumps. Boy, was I nervous. I had to pass the first few heights if I was only allowed to take the 4 jumps. And with each pass, as the bar got higher and higher, I got more and more nervous. I took 1 jump at a lower height as a warm-up, and when the bar was at qualifying height, I was lucky enough to clear it. Unfortunately, at nationals, I did well enough to place 3rd and gain my 3rd All-American honor. But North Central wasn't just about basketball or high jumping. I was given opportunities to see other parts of the world and learn about other cultures. For a few weeks my junior year, I was given the opportunity to study in Cuernavaca, Mexico. We were hosted by local families and went to classes at the school. We did a lot of sightseeing and participated in local customs. We went to bullfights, climbed pyramids, and walked through a lot of ruins. It was an experience I'll never forget. I also had the opportunity to play on the women's U.S. basketball team with Bonnie Hansen and other women from around the United States. Wayne and Carl were our coaches for that team as well. We played in Norway under international rules, which made the game fun and interesting. We were hosted again by local families, and were again given the opportunity to see the sights. We climbed to the top of one of the ski hills used during the Winter Olympics and saw the most awesome view of Norway. We challenged each other to swim out to this island in this beautiful, pristine lake. In the middle of June, it was so cold, I didn't think we were going to make it back to shore. And we walked through this huge park with life-size statues that depicted life from beginning to end. Again, we had a great time and one I will never forget. So the decision that I made to attend North Central College with the help of my parents was the right one. It was the best one for me. I received a great education. I saw different parts of the world. And I reached athletic goals I didn't know were possible for me in college. But this honor today isn't just mine. I share it with 3 great coaches who had dreams of building great teams. They passed those dreams on to me and my teammates, and we made them ours. And we all succeeded. And in the end, I learned to believe it. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. Congratulations. Wonderful words. Alonso Alexander, class of 1993, was a standout basketball player, our second to earn Player of the Year honors from the CCIW. Let's watch.
Family. It was the central theme of the career of Alonso Alexander, who flourished in the close-knit atmosphere of the men's basketball program. The Chicago native attended North Central College because he wanted to be close to his own family and gained another one with the Cardinals. Even as a first-year student athlete, Alexander made an impact on the team. He came off the bench most of his first year before entering the starting lineup in the final 3 games. As a sophomore, he averaged more than 13 points and 6.6 rebounds per game, earning first-team All-CCIW honors as North Central went 21-6 and won the CCIW title outright.
He brought out the best in all the players. They all took turns kind of being the spark. And so he was willing to be a player that's scored in single digits if the team won, and if he needed to be the guy that scored, he had 42 in one game, if he needed to be that guy, he could be that guy. He could take over a game.
An injury forced Alexander to sit out his entire junior year, but he returned the following year to average a career-high nearly 22 points and more than 7 rebounds, while shooting more than 60% from the floor, setting a school record that would stand for 14 years. He became the second North Central basketball player to earn the CCIW's Player of the Year award. Alexander finished his career in 1993, ranked 5th in the Cardinals' history in career scoring, and he was the 6th player in North Central history to earn all CCIW honors 3 times. But he never forgot he was on a team.
He could pass, he could shoot, and he made it look effortless, but he wanted to make sure he got everybody else involved. He wasn't, even the game he scored 42, you kind of looked down and you forgot how many points he had because he got everybody else involved.
But Alexander always credited his success to his teammates, coaches, family, and friends, who always believed in him.
He was friendly, but it was more than that. He made everybody involved, whether it be the radio crew or the fans, and he was a great classmate. So you'd see him on the, by Old Main or walking to and from class. He would always stop and talk to you, and he was very outgoing, and like you said, friends and family were really important to him.
It's my pleasure to welcome Alonso Alexander to the Hall of Fame.
Okay. Mama made it. This is pretty difficult for me. My teammates, I feel, should be here. And to stand alone is quite scary. It's good. It's fun. I'm overjoyed, and honestly, I didn't know what to say. But first of all, I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame Committee, the Athletic Department, the Alumni Association, our new president, Dr. Hammond, all of my family members, close friends, and just all of you for being here today, for making this such a wonderful day. For me, this is truly a blessing. I have so many memories of being here at North Central College that I can spend the rest of this program telling you about all the great things. But I'll not bore you and keep it brief. So initially, I was set on attending a larger university. From talking to other people, it seems like that's the route we all were going to go. My heart was set on going to the University of Wisconsin. I went, I visited, and you know what? It was a great campus. It was a place I felt I wanted to be. Badger colors, big school, everything as a young freshman that you think you would want, right? Well, there was a chance meeting that I had. I played in an all-star game against a guy by the name of Michael Patterson, and he was an outstanding forward. I tell you, this guy could jump out of the gym, block shots, run the floor. You look for that as a player like me because it made my job easier. And then off to the side, you see a coach, Bill Warden, and he was talking to Michael Patterson, and I'm standing in the wings, and all of a sudden I look over and I see he's looking, and I had talked to him before, but he really wasn't talking to me. Michael was that guy that he wanted to, really build the program. So of course, I walked over and I said, "Hey, what are you guys talking about? Let me in on this too. And he said, well, we're talking about our plans for the future and how we'd like to build this program. And by the way, would you be interested too? So I said, well, I'm not sure. How far away from Chicago are you? And he told me, and Michael and I got together. We took the train on out, and you know, when you first walk on campus, this is the place you want to be. This is where your extended family is. Everywhere you look, everyone you talk to, they're genuinely interested in you as a person. If you never play any sport whatsoever, you can be successful here because we invest in people. I say we because we're all in this together, and if one person reach another and another reach out to one more, guess what? Now we have a team. And believe me, you work hard at it, you'll be successful. When I arrived on campus, you know, I had this notion that being a freshman out of Chicago that I would come here to this small town and really just take over the basketball program. I felt, boy, let me tell you, it is gonna be all about me and what I can do. So I gingerly walked into the gym. There's some guys playing. They were to be teammates of mine, and this little guy, kind of heavy. I walked over and said, you guys playing? He said, yeah. So I said, okay, can I play? I get in the game, we're going, and after a while they say, you guard that guy. I didn't know that that guy's name was Robert Brown at the time. Robert Brown is our first most valuable player in the conference. And here I am, this hotshot freshman. I said, you know what? I could take him. Well, it didn't go that way. I ended up leaving that gym with my heart broken, my tail between my legs, and believe me, I had a lot to learn. But because this was my family, I wasn't so proud where I couldn't go to Robert and say, hey, can you help me learn a few of those things? And what is this coach over here? What is he looking for? And then who are these guys? How do I fit in with them? And just like the person he is, he sat me down and said, look here, young fellow, you need to take your time, be patient, pay attention, go to class, and everything else will take care of itself. Boy, I didn't want to hear all that. I wanted it right then and there. But he had a plan, and he taught it to me. And when you follow that, all the success would come. So we got ready to start the season, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, man, I can't wait to see these college uniforms. I'm really excited about that college uniform. I get to put that on. And to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, you know, how fashionable we were then, and I got my children back there, my nieces and nephews, and hold on a second. They made fun of these when I showed them the first time, and I would share with you as well. Okay, well, what I'm saying is when I saw these uniforms, I knew this is where I wanted to be. Jim Miller, you can have those when I'm done. But my time here and the success I was able to have as an individual truly was not because of me. I had to learn a lot. I put the time in. I see my great friends here that actually took time to talk to me and help me grow. And in turn, I wanted to give that to other people. And I hope I can only give them as much as they've given me. And I like to thank them for that, for sure. To my coach, Warden, I want to thank him for his guidance. It's helped with all the little things, you know, how to be on time and make sure you're doing all the things you need to in the classroom and in practice in order to make that next transition. He was always there to praise me when I was deserving it, but he gave you that stern talking to also when you weren't doing the things you're supposed to do. North Central College has always had a family atmosphere for me. We've had those times where we'd argue, we'd fuss and fight at times, but at the end of the day, we are still family. It was said back then that North Central was a special kind of place, and for me, it truly was. Now that I have children, I share all of these experiences with them, and I know they're probably really tired of hearing the same stories over and over again, but the older I get, you know, those are the things that stick with me, so bear with me. You'll probably hear it again. But it's what shapes you and it's what makes you who you are and what makes you appreciate what you were a part of. To my fiance, Kim, I'd like to thank you for putting up with me and supporting me through all of this. I'm very fortunate to have you in my life. You understand that this part of me and this family is a part of us. For my children, thank you for making me proud with the terrific things you do day in and day out. I can't tell you the joy I get from hearing how you progress, whether it's tumbling, whether it's football, whether it's basketball, whether it's something you've done in the classroom where you've made the next step. As a dad, keep moving forward. Dreams do come true. I'm living one. To my parents, thank you for giving me the opportunity. You've given me more than I know I could ever give you. I love you. As I wrap this up, I'd just like to say, it's because of our dedication here to our student athletes that we are champions. It's because of the hard work we put forth with great coaches that we are really committed. It's because of the rich tradition that we create every day that makes us North Central. But it's because how we bond and rely on each other for success. That's what makes us a family. So thank you all very much. Enjoy the day.
Congratulations, Alonzo. Now we'll learn more about Erik Taylor, a class of 1998, a cross-country national champion.
Unbridled and brimming with power. That's how one assistant coach described Erik Taylor when he arrived at North Central College. Taylor soon established himself as a national contender in track and field, placing second in the 1,500-meter run at the 1996 NCAA Division III Outdoor Championships. A third-place effort in 1998 helped the Cardinals win their third outdoor national title. His personal best time achieved as a senior ranks fourth all-time at North Central, and he is one of only 15 Cardinals to earn All-America honors 3 times in the same event.
Impressive, dominant. I got watching him run in full flight was just, oh my God, he looks great. He's an awesome runner.
Taylor was a 3-time College Conference of Illinois and Wisconsin individual track and field champion, and one of 3 North Central athletes to win 2 championships at the Drake Relays. A contributor to 2 team national championships in cross country, Taylor put a great deal of effort in tempering his naturally aggressive racing approach on the track and adopting more conservative tactics for the longer races.
He's a big, strong guy, and big, strong guys have big, strong muscles, and big, strong muscles break down when you go too fast, too early. And he struggled with that concept in cross country. He wanted to go. Let's get in the race. Let's get in the hunt. Let's do it. But he never wanted to hold back. So it was always hard to get him to hold back.
But in the 1998 cross country national championships, something clicked.
I basically told him, this is a 5-mile race, Erik. And I said, if you are in any manner in the top 50 runners at the first mile, it's about 250 in the race. If you're in the top 50 runners during the first mile, I'm going to be at the mile mark and I'm going to tackle you. And then you're going to get back up and get going again. And we walked it all the way down till about 600 yards to go.
And I said, with 600 yards to go, if you're anywhere near the lead, take off and go.
And Taylor, never having won a cross-country race for his entire North Central College career, achieved his goal of a first-place finish, coming out 7 seconds ahead of his nearest competitor, and leading the Cardinals to their second consecutive championship and 11th overall title.
And when you watch it, and when you feel it, and when you hear that result, tears came to my eyes. And Erik looked to the sky. You could just see it was just everything he dreamt of. And there's not many times you get a chance to be a national champion. There aren't many national champions in this world. And to do it on that day, you're the best. Nothing could ever be taken away from you. And he did it, and it was awesome.
It is my pleasure to welcome Erik Taylor to the Athletic Hall of Fame.
Good morning. It's been a while since I've been back. It's good to be back. Before I get started today, I wanted to share the story why I'm wearing this pink tie. My sister lost her life 2.5 years ago to breast cancer. Tomorrow would have been her 47th birthday. She was one of the biggest supporters I've ever had. And I thought today would be appropriate in honoring this award to her. So, to my sister Debbie, I made the flight back yesterday from California with my wife Molly, and I knew today would present two opportunities to give thanks, because I know one thing to be true: if you're successful in life, it's not without help. There's no way. There's always people behind you, people supporting you. And it also presented another opportunity for me, and that was to give to say I'm sorry. My time here at North Central, when I was captain a few years, if there's some of the alumni that were here when I was here, would probably describe me as more of a tyrant. I was not the nicest guy on my teammates. There's a long overdue apology. They need to hear that from me, and I hope those words find them. I was way too hard on most of them, and I hope these words reach them today. Now, I had a who's who of coaching. It started with Joe Johnson, the late Joe Johnson at Palatine High School. And he retired after my sophomore year. We went into a new era, and he started a powerful tradition there at Palatine. And Ron the Bird stepped in as the coach. He was experienced, he was young, he had a swagger about him which the team immediately adopted. And there's one thing that he taught me, and it was the skill to compete. And he taught me this lesson on the track. Now, he was a 4-minute miler and a 1:47 half miler, and he was in his early 30s when I was in school. And when I was there, we would run against each other. And there was this one day we were doing this track workout, and he and I are going back and forth, and he's starting to take it to me. And after each interval, he would stand on the line waiting for the next interval. So he's just stand there waiting for me. And I'd be over there like this. You know, you got the guys doing the pain face, and their arms are in the air, and doing all this kind of business. And he broke me that day. And he ended up finishing the workout way ahead of me. And he pulled me to the side after the workout, and he said, "Perception and reality. Reality is he was hurting. Perception was, I didn't think he was. Never show your competitor weakness," he told me. So from that day on, starting the next week, after the interval workout, or the start of the interval workout, I'm standing on the line waiting for every single one, looking them in the face, going, "All right, let's go." It was a lesson that I learned that day, and it's a lesson that I still apply and I still would teach my kids. After high school, I was looking for a school to go to, and I came here. Wisconsin and U of I were a couple of my top choices. I went down to U of I, And as soon as I got on campus, I knew that wasn't the place for me. And Wisconsin, I love Wisconsin, but the coach and I just didn't click. So my third visit, I came here to North Central, and I sat in Al's office, and the meeting started at 9 a.m. in the fall of the '93. The meeting went 3 hours. I knew I was going here in the first 5 minutes. He had me sold so quick, and it was his energy and his passion. Now, when I was here, I referred to Al as the old man. And if you know Al wouldn't take that. Al didn't take that very well, but it was never what I exactly meant by that. That was my nickname for him. And what I really, truly meant by it was the guy who brought this small school mentality. It was the guy who had the broken foot that still ran the interval on the Senator track in high school. It was the state champ in Illinois. It was the Big Ten champ down at U of I. It was the guy who broke his back flipping his Corvette and said he was going to beat his injury just like he beat Four Lakes Hill. It was the guy who was taking adversity right square in the face, picked himself up, dusted himself off, and said, let's go again. That's what I loved about Al, and that's what I meant by the nickname, the old man. It was the guy who had done everything. And his sidekick would be Frank Grammaroso. Now, if there's a battle that you need to get into, if you have a cause that you need to fight for, there's one guy you want on your side, and that's Frank. And when you're about to yell charge, and you're looking for him, I'll tell you where you can find him. He's going to be about 100 yards ahead of you, sword drawn, ready to go. I nicknamed Grammy the original scrapper, because there wasn't a fight he wasn't about to back down to. Now, in the fall of '94, we were at our old cross-country course, and it was like my third or fourth day. And this red sports car pulls up, and there's this buzz amongst the guys, and I notice the volume of curse words increasing. And this guy gets out of the car, and I know who it was because I had followed his career, and it was Ken Popejoy. And he gets out of the car, and this is the first time I get to meet him, and I had read and knew the history of Ken, and he looks at this guy we had on the team named Smiling Mike. Now, Mike looked like he bathed in white paint. And Ken gets out of the car without saying a word. And this is the first time I get to meet Ken Popejoy. And he says, "Hey, Smiling Mike, I see you've been working on your blank and tan all summer." And I thought, oh, I'm going to like this guy. Now, prior to that summer, there was an article that came out in a newspaper. And it was comparing Ken and his great career to an Illinois state champion and how he was 42 years old and he ran all these fast times to me, who was the reigning 1,600-meter state champ. Now, you would think, well, he wouldn't bring that up, that he was running faster than me at 42 years old. You know, I was an 18-year-old kid. You'd be wrong. And there was an interval workout that we did that he managed to pass me on one of those intervals my freshman year. And you would also think, well, he's certainly not going to ride him for the next 10 minutes about how he just beat this reigning state champ. You'd be wrong again. Ken was able to pull out the greatest performances out of me. His presence raised my level. And I loved when he got on me. My time here was great. I miss this place. I miss the team. I miss the bus rides, the van rides. Those are the memories that I keep. The state champions, the national championships, the All-American certificates were always part of what you did. But it's never the stuff that I tell people about, or it's never the stuff that I really think about much. It was the time with my team. It was the time with Al and Grammy in the van, laughing. Those are the memories that I keep with me. It's not the awards. I want to thank my wife, Molly, my 2 kids, my parents. The night before the national championship cross-country race in '98, I went to every single coach and every single runner, and I said, this is what your strength is, and this is why we're going to win tomorrow. And at the end of the speech, I said, here's my cigar, and I'm going to smoke this tomorrow after we win. I don't have a cigar, I don't have a glass of champagne, but here's to you guys, because I couldn't have done it without you. I want to thank the athletic department, certainly Ken, Al, and Grammy. Your influence on me has been amazing. I want to thank North Central, and a special thanks to Mary Reynolds, who is a great contact person and has made this day special for me. So thank you, guys.
Congratulations, Erik. Now let's learn more about Lester Belding, who passed away in 1965, but who left behind a powerful legacy as North Central College's athletic director.
The history of the wrestling program at North Central College is inextricably tied to the efforts of John Novak. As a wrestler, a volunteer coach, the head coach, a college trustee, and a lifelong supporter. After the college had to dismantle the program following the 1938-39 season, the Cardinals wrestling program was resurrected in the fall of 1961. Novak transferred to North Central that year and was one of 14 newcomers on the team and helped lead the Cardinals to a College Conference of Illinois championship. Novak was an individual CCI champion at 147 pounds that season and went on to post a second-place finish in the NCAA Regional Championships. In 1963, he once again won the CCI 147-pound title and qualified for the national championships. He placed fourth to become North Central's first wrestling All-American.
What makes that especially impressive is 2 things. First, only 4 people in the entire country was considered All-American. You had to place in the top 4 then to be All-American. The other thing that was impressive, knowing you went against everybody. You went against Division II, what is now Division II. You went against what is now NAIA. Pre-Title IX, you know, almost every school in the country offered the sport of wrestling to some extent. So you're going against everybody except for the largest Division I.
Soon after graduation, Novak accepted an offer to be the head coach of the wrestling team, where he instilled the lessons he learned from the mat in his new role.
The sport of wrestling humbles you in a different way, and I mean it like this, and this is the way that he carries himself, is that there's no excuses, there's no one to blame. The sport of wrestling is an input-output type of sport. What you truly put in is what you can get out, and oftentimes do. You don't have to be the most talented individual to still reap the benefits and to be successful.
Novak remains involved with the wrestling program, which now boasts 25 All-Americans, 65 national qualifiers, and 6 team conference championships.
Every person that's been here has been a building block along the way.
It is my pleasure to welcome Lester Belding to the Athletic Hall of Fame. He is represented today by his daughter, Betsy Belding Schmidt, class of 1956, and her children, Tom and Becky Schmidt. It wasn't fair, Becky, to make you walk all that way. Come on out. Finally, Marcy Thurwachter joined us in 1985 and transformed both our women's volleyball team and track and field teams. Let's listen.
Marcy Thurwachter wore many hats at North Central: administrator, professor, and coach. She was the coach of the Cardinals volleyball team from 1985 to 1997. When she began, she inherited a team that was sorely in need of players to fill the roster. She quickly went to work putting together a team that would be the start of something great.
She was an amazing coach. You wanted to do your best for her. You wanted to work hard. You wanted to do your best. You wanted to play hard. You wanted to go to practices because she made it fun. And she instilled a good work ethic in all of us. She wanted us to succeed. And as players, we wanted to do all of that for her. We wanted to make her proud of us.
Members of the first class Thurwachter recruited became integral parts of a team that went from a 10-28 overall record in 1985 to a 24-20 record and a second-place finish in the CCIW in 1988. And in 1992, they finally achieved their first CCIW title. But for her players, Thurwachter made their experiences about so much more than simply playing the game.
Some of the best times I had were in that volleyball van, going to different games and tournaments, and just a wonderful experience being in the van with the team and with Marcy.
Thurwachter carried her compassion and competitiveness as a coach to the women's track and field team. The program won 4 CCIW team championships, including the inaugural CCIW Women's Meet in 1986, and 9 individual and relay championships during her tenure. They also won 106 All-America certificates and 217 individual CCIW titles. But to her student athletes, Thurwachter was more than a coach. She was a parent, a friend, a mentor, and a confidant.
This is a place where a lot of us started at Murner Fieldhouse. A lot of women's track and field athletes and volleyball players. This is where it all started, that we met Marcy Thurwachter and she changed who we are as people.
It's my pleasure to welcome Marcy Thurwachter to the Athletic Hall of Fame.
First, I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame Committee and Mary Reynolds, Jim Miller, North Central College for this wonderful event. I've had the opportunity to come several times in the past to introduce people, and it's just a wonderful event for everyone, family and friends and inductees and the Hall of Fame members. I also am excited that I had an opportunity to work with so many of the people that are in the Hall of Fame, and I have a lot of former athletes in it already. And Susie, thank you for your kind words. And while I'm thanking people, I want to thank my husband, Steve. He was really important during my time here at North Central College, gave me a lot of support, and also I think my student athletes would certainly agree that he was very supportive of their efforts, was at a lot of matches, a lot of track meets, drove his car a couple times to end up where we are, or are we where we are? So thanks to Steve. And I also want to acknowledge one of my coworkers from my current position in Stevens Point with the WIA. Joan and her husband Scott made the drive down, and I'm very appreciative that you came. I'm also excited that there's so many former athletes here, former coworkers and friends from the community of Naperville. It's exciting to see you all here today and see a lot of people that I have kind of lost track with over the years. I've been gone from the campus for about 12 years now, and when I look back at my start in 1985, it seems a long time ago, and I guess it really is a long time ago. In 1985, when I moved here from Sheboygan Falls, Naperville had 60,000 people. The college was just over 1,000 students. And interestingly enough, Al Carius was driving a red Corvette. Grammy was using Sport and Wave in his hair. And I was still single. A lot of people didn't realize that Steve and I had not been married yet when I first came here. When I look at the campus now and the changes, I'm just in awe. It's second to none. The facilities here, the education that our student athletes receive, it's just can't compare to anywhere else. I want to reminisce a little bit. When I was first called by Jim Miller, started thinking about what I was going to say, and coaching two sports, and actually kind of two different sports, a team sport and an individual sport. If you'll bear with me, I just have a few reminiscences over the last few years. I coached volleyball for 13 years, and during that time, I drove a 15-passenger van with 15 people in it, all over the states of Illinois, Indiana, and Wisconsin. And I think those of you that played volleyball for me will probably say the most annoying thing that you had to endure was Marcy playing the Big Ten fight songs on the tape deck. And I'm sure all of you secretly kind of smile when you hear "On Wisconsin," because that was kind of my theme. And I was Wisconsin native, moved to Illinois, just couldn't do it down here with Illinois. Slug-a-bug, movie reviews, trivia contests, usually won by Colleen Murphy. All kinds of things. And Joel Williams, I don't know if Joel's here today, but he would attest to the fact that most of the conversations we had in that 15-passenger van contained too much information for mixed company. Then there was the pumpkin ball tournament where Lene Loudenbeck's parents came in costumes, and Lene had no idea who it was, and none of the rest of us did either, but here there was an owl, and I can't remember what the other costume was, but they were sitting in the stands through an entire tournament. Tina Bonaro's dad, Ron, fixing us special team dishes, recruiting Susie and what became the Orion connection with both Denise and Christy Kunert coming from Orion to North Central as well. Ending Elmhurst College's 64-match winning streak, the 1992 conference championship, the word of the day, the Troll House, CCIW Player of the Year Donna Chess, Mo Tater, Sally Townsend, Big Lindsay, Bernadette Savage sharing her tape of Adam Sandler's Lunch Lady, Super Fresh, Mia Viola, so many other people and great memories. I loved coaching volleyball, loved the team aspect of the sport, and truly enjoyed going to practices as well as the matches. And I think the fact that so many of you still continue to play volleyball or coach is a testament to the enjoyment of the game. Let's move on to track. 17 years of track also brings a lot of great memories. What fun we had. Last chance meets that lasted till 2:30 a.m. Our first freshman stars, Ophelia Johnson, Megan Allen, Prairie Run, almost convincing freshmen that the University of Chicago's track was made out of old pencil erasers. Pool workouts, firing a starting pistol to recall a race in the press box. Grammy said, fire it, fire it. So I did, forgetting to put it out the window. I think we were deaf for at least a day or so. Ophelia Johnson's NCAA championship title in the 100 hurdles, Megan Allen's weave coming loose, and Megan throwing it into the crowd as she ran at the Nationals. T-shirt meets, Jen Beanick's calves, Nancy Tim's amazing comeback from a broken femur, Secret Pals, hosting NCAA Division III National Championships, finishing third at the Division III Outdoor Championships at my alma mater, UW La Crosse, Patsy Cargill's 4 individual national titles, the Indoor 1600 Relay Team's National Championship, thinking of names for Erik and Cindy Simon's first child. Allison Simon is now in high school, and I'm sure she has no idea she could have been Simone Simon. Sharing an office with Erik for years and then with Mahesh, both of them much neater than me. Pooh's 1911 and 3/4 inch long jump, Ditchum de Negros. And who could forget my favorite coaching phrases in track? Use your arms and make your move now. I could go on and on. My love for track was rooted in my own track experiences in high school and college, support I received from my parents at the time when girls' sports were just beginning, made it possible for me to focus my career on athletics. Working with so many wonderful coaches only enhanced that experience. Al and Grammy were absolutely the best coaching partners, and it was just absolutely great working with first Erik and then Mahesh and Doug and Kim and Tim and Pat, along with many others. We just had a great team here. All those memories, but the most important ones are those of the shy 18-year-old girl shows up on campus with her family, months and months of phone calls, visits to either volleyball games or to track meets, phone calls, campus visits with that young girl, and then finally she says, yes, I'm coming to North Central College. Early weeks in September, when I'm sure she's not going to stay because she's so homesick, changing her major once, twice, 3 times, roommate problems, boyfriend troubles, wrong classes, financial aid concerns. I loved watching the transformation of those shy, unsure young women to the confident, poised graduates of North Central College. You may not recognize yourself today as that person because of the success you enjoy, but each of you grew so much. And it was always a privilege for me to be a part of it, and if you ever needed help, to be there. Coaching and teaching here at North Central College were absolutely the best life experiences one could ever hope for. I'm very grateful that I had the opportunity to be in on the ground floor of something that has grown and blossomed through the years. It was never really a job, but more like a reward. To work with such special people and have the opportunity to witness so many young adults striving towards their life goals. And now to be honored as a Hall of Fame member is something I'll cherish forever. Thank you.
Congratulations, Marcy. That was great. Well, congratulations to all of the inductees today. All so inspiring, wonderful, and let's give them one last round of applause for the new class. That concludes our Hall of Fame induction ceremony today. I want to remind everyone that we have a great afternoon coming with the Rawl House Lawn lunch at noon. That's where the homecoming alumni tent is this year. And we'll kick off the parade at 12:45. Just come by the house about 1 o'clock. And, of course, football game at 2 o'clock. Go Cardinals. Let's all stand and sing the alma mater. Adrian and Jim, come here a second. Could everybody stand for a second? Everybody stand. Jim and Adrian, come here. I'm not going to make the president do this. I don't like this part where I have to start the song by myself.
We got your back. We got your
Okay, all right. Ready? 1, 2, 3. North Central is the school we love. To hear we sing its praise. And from the east and from the west, you'll hear our voices raise. Hail, hail, North Central, hail, our alma mater true. We'll always, always loyal be to you, to you, to you. Go Cards!